Hello, everyone, wherever you are. Welcome to the BMK show. Today's episode is on relationship, and I am here with Dr. Kokofele. Before we start, Dr. Kokofele, can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience?
Yo. This is your Dr. Coco Fele, PhD upside down from the University of Nothing going on. I'm a comedian.
I have one question for you because I've I have been thinking a lot about finding somebody from your cultural background. And why would you recommend to have someone from the same cultural background for relationship?
Relationship. In my chapter, I always quote my finest intellectual reference, which is my grandmother. Her words were, and I quote, "We are what we act." So relationship starts with good faith in self. When you love, care, and respect yourself, then it's easy to share love, respect, regardless of the condition that you meet the person. You know what I mean? So most relationship, whether it's personal relationship, man and wife, or business relationships, they fail because people do not get into the relationship in good faith. You know what I'm saying? So good faith is a cornerstone. Now, if you ask me politically, since I'm a global Pan-Africanist, I would say every African person, regardless of where she is from, once an African, always an African. The cornerstone of our culture lies in our Africanness. Even though, unfortunately, that most Africans have lost their culture because their names were criminally taken away from them and their cultures bastardized. But when it comes to culture, there are Africans born outside of the continent who are more African than those Africans born in the continent who are religiously confused. So culture have become a danger point because religion tells them one thing and culture tells them one thing. But one palatable thing about the African culture is that whether you are a fanatical Muslim or a fanatical Christian or fanatical what, at the end of the day, the African culture interject and bypass all of those things. You know what I mean? So to me, relationship is not about where the person is from. You know what I mean? It's about a person that you can connect to in good faith, and the person can connect to you in good faith. If you look around, there are a great many relationships where people from the continent are wedded to people from the Caribbean or the USA or Europe, you know what I mean? And they are living with, loving relationship. And there are even those of us who have crossed the borders, which I have a big question mark on, who married outside of, if I say outside of our culture, that means going outside of the African community. You know what I mean? The global African community to get married to Eurocentric people or to Asians or to, Arabs who do not consider themselves Africans. You see, those are the places where there is a shock wave of culture shock, because there are other people who will always think, of course, classism is everywhere in relationship. You can go to your village where you think it's the same culture, but they might say your father or your mother came from a lower class. So there will be class differentiation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this uniqueness of classism is everywhere. We see recently in Japan where a princess had been kicked out because she fell in love with a commoner. A fellow Japanese, they got married, they got booted out, and are now in the United States. We've seen it in the United Kingdom, the so-called purported uncommonwealth of nation, which is of course so uncommon, where the prince and our sister, who they deemed to be not of their class, was tormented to the point that they ran away from the UK to Americas. You see, so there's that classism, which is very despicable and is in every society. But bottom line is, relationship should be unconditional and based on good faith.
So, are there barriers in terms of, let's say, finding somebody outside of the African community? What are the challenges if eventually that happens? You end up being with somebody, let's say, who's from Asia, somebody who's from Europe, who are not from the African community. What are the challenges that person should be prepared to deal with?
Oh, so many challenges. So many challenges. I'll say that for the record, that even when people say the world is a global village, it's always been global, but most of those kind of relationship live happily in cities. You know what I mean? The cities is where all cultures blend and live with a fake life that everything is okay until you start moving into territories that are rural. You know what I mean? But one thing about the African people, regardless of where Africans find themselves, regardless of the hyphenated names, you know what I mean? Whoever they marry, they are welcome in the African community. And if you look at the trend, this is why so-called interracial marriage, most times the kids end up being Africans. You know what I mean? Because to an African, a human being is a human being. But to those who think that they are superior, you know what I mean? Uh, there's always a question mark that, oh, this person. I lived in Germany for a long time. Navigated. I would say one of my true love, my long true love, good-hearted person was a German girl, born German, and and I saw the lies that friends of ours I had friends who were doctors, one Burundian, one Ghanaian, married to German women, and their kids. I saw how they were lying to them because those kids were always called names. You know what I mean? My girlfriend's mother was a high entertainment journalist. So we were getting tickets to go to high class opera shows, big shows. And when we went there, they would think we're Americans, you know. And of course, you hear all these old German, but don't get me wrong, I had one of the finest time in Germany. But there's this notion inside the brains of Europeans, the purportedly white people, that they are better beings than Africans. So when you catch yourself in that relationship, you're always second guessed. You know what I mean? You're always disrespected, whether you like it or not. Whether we are in the 2022, it is still the trend. If people like Obama can be questioned, you know what I mean? All those things bring volumes. So it traumatizes children, you know. But of course, there are relationships that are great, that are great stories, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the personal relationship might be great, but when you are getting involved in a relationship, you're not just getting married to that one person. You're bringing not just your family, you're bringing their contingent. You know what I mean? And this colorization, even though I don't believe in race, because race was created by the tormentors, I would say. But this is love thing, but yes, still we should not be afraid to talk the raw politics. Some of the dynamics of, getting into a relationship outside your immediate so-called corner or culture or country is that, let's say you are a Sierra Leonean, getting married to somebody from Cuba, same African, but there's been a diversion of, you know, certain elements. The Cubans love their salsa, you know what I mean? The Sierra Leoneans love their cassava leaf, you know. So even on the food, there is war. On the dance floor, there is war for music. You know what I mean? On the conversation, most times you go where people who are married from different communities, even though we're all Africans, you go there, you see the ghettoization by section. You know what I mean? Or if it's you're married to a Jamaican, you see Jamaican corner. If the he is a Jamaican, all the Jamaicans will be on one side chatting, and you know what I mean, and then each other will be saying how this culture is this, how these people are this, you know what I mean. So it's quite telling, but that happens even if you are in the same country. A Yoruba in Nigeria getting married to an Igbo, you know, a Mende getting married to a Timini, a Creole getting married, as they say, country, as if they are not country. You know what I mean? So all of these dynamics, but at the end of the day, yeah, a Yoruba will get married to Yoruba. It's more fire in the house more than the Yoruba and the Igbo. You see? So that's why I'm saying at the end of the day, it's good faith, self-caring, self-loving, and independent mind that not mama, not papa, not brother, not sister is in my relationship but me. Because most siblings, especially if the wife is in a better position, they will say, oh, that man is just milking our sister. So they will create unnecessary problems. Or if you are an ordinary man that get married to a rich person's daughter, you are always a bomb in their eyes. If you don't have degrees running around you, like me with a PhD upside down, they are going to say, no, oh, he didn't go to the University of Great Britain, you know. So those things. But at the end of the day, true love, unconditional love conquers. So relationship starts with self in good faith.